their respective finals. Both had some pretty respectable times. Temple at 6:49, Loyola Maryland 6:59, and then Fairfield and Drexel not too far off them. But Temple faced Drexel yesterday in this event, and if I recall correctly, it looked like Drexel kind of settled into that second place once it was clear Temple was going to run away with it. So potentially Drexel with a little bit more than we saw yesterday. But again, Temple the favorite heading into this men's collegiate JV4 for the Ken Shaw Trophy.
Yeah, and it'll see how this race sort of compares in terms of the freshman race, where we saw Drexel and Temple basically duking it out the whole way down the course.
Yeah, a few other challengers here with Loyola Maryland, looking to play spoiler on the Philly affair along with Fairfield.
Yes, spoiler indeed. Little nugget of history. The trophy is named after Ken Shaw, who was actually a LaSalle coach, and he coached one of my best friends in college.
Oh, wow.
So a guy, Tim Downs, who actually pushed me to become a better rower.
Wow. Great stuff.
Yeah.
I had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Shaw here the other night. Fantastic guy.
Yeah.
And you see there, this is a really exciting race so far. So Fairfield is there in fourth place, fifth place rather, fallen off the leaders, as has Fordham there in lane one. But when it goes Temple, Loyola, Drexel, Jacksonville, those four crews across at the moment, not really much between them. Maybe give the edge to Temple right now.
That is what I would agree. I would agree with that.
All right, first 500 down. It does look like Temple is starting to push it open just a little bit here. We'll see if these Loyola, Drexel, and Jacksonville can keep them within contact and try and make a strike at the end here. But a really nice start in this Temple JV4.
Yeah, I'd like to see if those Drexel Dragons can really stay in there and push. It looks like Loyola Maryland is having a good race as well. And, this is pretty tight so far. None of these crews really yielding all that much.
Yeah, so a really nice race so far. Temple, they went out with these other crews and matched them in that first five, and then now getting into their base rate, it looks like Temple is just a little bit faster than them. But check this out, Temple with a length on Loyola Maryland, and then Loyola, Drexel, and Jacksonville just really close together there.
Yeah, these are the type of tight races that we love to see, and you can, I wonder if people can imagine the sort of psychological burden of racing all the way down 2,000 meters and having a boat right beside you. So this is sort of, it's pretty grueling. You're doing all you can to say, get back there, come on, let's take some space, and yet this other crew won't budge. And so, but that's the type of stuff that they say builds character.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot about the sport of rowing, that it builds character. I tend to think that it builds calluses more so, but who am I? Yeah. 1,000 meters left to go now for our leaders from Temple. Looks like Drexel has taken over second place on their own, and Loyola Maryland and Jacksonville and now Fairfield also moving back up into that podium contention after having fallen back in the first 500.
Yeah, great work being done by that Jacksonville crew. We just caught a quick glimpse of them sort of coming through here. And so I think that we can't count them out, and I'd like to see if they can maybe apply a little bit more pressure, maybe stretch out a little bit more, and maybe turn the screws a little bit.
Yeah, so Temple's starting to really push their advantage at the moment. So the race for second is on. Fairfield really definitely clawed their way back into it. Loyola staying steady, trying to fight some missed water at some times, and then Drexel right there next to them. Looks like those two crews are just about even. Fairfield also right there. You see stroke seat in that Loyola boat pretty much just head directly on the Fairfield boat, so they've got his attention for sure.
Yeah, and one of the challenges is that both the Fairfield and the Loyola Maryland boat face is that they're rowing in the wake of that Temple boat, right? That Temple boat is out far enough so that the wake from their boat is going to affect the set of their boat. And, this is where all of their practice comes into play. Can they use their technique to keep the boat even, to keep pressing despite the fact of those small disturbances?
So an interesting thing here as they come to the end, Drexel, looks like their 3V or their JV8 is headed up the race course in this final 500, so they're going to be able to just root on this JV4, which, you know, it's not a small thing to hear fans, you know, rooting for you. It does fill you with pride, and it does give you a little bit more adrenaline when you hear people like rooting for your team. So you can see there the boys JV8 from Drexel stopped to yell across at their teammates.
And that's an important thing. You know, I'm still interested to see what's going on out there in lane 6. Can that Jacksonville
they're right
crew,
there still
continue to hold on and to move and put themselves on the podium?
Meanwhile, Temple just trying to hang on here after pressing their lead earlier in the race. They're going to hit the 250 mark first as these other 4 crews continue to fight for second and third, and there's really not much between them.
Yeah, it looks like Drexel may have the slight advantage, but Jacksonville's really turning the screws, and Loyola Maryland is still right there. If they can mount, you know, that sprint, bring that rating up, they're still in this hunt.
Yeah, and it looks like Temple is going to have a really nice finish to this race. Again, those outside lanes, you see Jacksonville there. They look like they're ahead. That outside lane is favored by this camera angle. So we're going to see Loyola and Drexel kind of start to pull up as this camera becomes a little bit more perpendicular with the finish line. It's going to be a really close finish between these 3.
Yeah, and so here we have that battle for second place. It looks like it's kind of tough to tell. I think Jacksonville may have a slight advantage, but that Drexel boat is right there.
And Temple wins the Ken Shaw Trophy at the Vail Regatta, and here it comes.
Surge. It's on a surge.
Oh man,
wow.
You saw it go there,
Man.
staggered. Jacksonville, Drexel, Loyola, and finally Fairfield.